So recently, I have found myself with 4 boxes. And I had these boxes and I was just trying to figure out what could I do with these boxes. So I started seeing if I could rearrange the boxes and come up with some cool ideas. So I laid them out flat like this, and I put one on top. And then I just put them all on the floor going across. I even tried an L, up until the point where I just decided, maybe I should go somewhere else for inspiration. So I headed to Google, and I started looking for things I can do with cardboard boxes. Some ideas weren't that exciting, like just using the boxes for storage, or making a racetrack with them, or even making a cardboard unicorn. But then I came across some really cool ideas, like making this Iron Man mask, or even this cardboard maze for my nieces. And then this super cool ode to the camera, this cardboard Nikon. And then there was the creme de la creme, like the thing that was the coolest of all. And it was this interesting creation that reused things from the classroom. And the more and more I thought about it and got excited about these things, the more and more I got realistic with myself and realized I'm actually not going to take the time and make this because I'm going to make videos for my students to learn math. So I was back at square one with my boxes. And then I had a wonderful idea. It was like a stroke of genius. And no, it wasn't just this idea to put the boxes upside down. No, it was even better. I put the boxes on top of each other like this, where I had 2 on top of 2, and it reminded me of a great way that I could multiply 2-digit numbers by other 2-digit numbers. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. So make sure you get your pencils ready, because we are going to look at some multiplication using partial products. So in today's video, we are going to be using partial products as a method to multiply 2-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers. Now you may recall the last time we used partial products to multiply, and we would have something like 234 times 3. And we would have one row of boxes where on the outside of our boxes we're going to put our single digit, and then on top of our boxes we would break our larger number into expanded form. So I had 200 plus 30 plus 4. Well, today we're going to do something a little different. Today we're going to multiply a 2-digit number like 23 times another 2-digit number like 34. And we're not going to use the method that your parents used growing up. We'll get to that later, but today we're going to continue what we did with our boxes last week with partial products. The first thing I'll want to get is I'll want to draw out boxes like the ones I have. In your homework sheet, you see I've already drawn this for you. The main boxes I'm going to use are the 4 right here. When I use these 4, it's going to be just like what we did previously with our partial products. But look, I have 2 2-digit numbers. So each number I'm going to write in expanded form around my box. So here I will write 20 plus 3, and across the top I'll write 30 plus 4. I wrote 34 in expanded form, and I wrote 23 in expanded form. The next thing I'm going to do is my multiplication. So right here in this box I have 20 and 30 coming together. So I will write 20 times 30. And I know 2 times 3 is 6, and then I add my 2 zeros to the end, so that's 600. In this next box, I have 4 meeting with 20. So I can write 20 times 4. and I see a 2 and a 4. 2 times 4 is 8, and I have 1 0 to add to the end. Right in this box right here, I have 30 meeting with 3. So that's going to be 30 times 3. And I have 3 times 3, which is 9, and I can add my 1 0 to the end. So that's 90. And then in my last box, I have 3 meeting with the 4. So I will write 3 times 4, which equals 12. That part is just like what we did before, with the exception of adding another row. Now, in this box on the right, all I'm using this area for is to add my partial products up. So the little answers I got in the boxes. So I have 600 plus 80 plus 90 plus 12. I'm adding those 4 numbers up. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 8 plus 9, that's 17, plus 1 more is 18. Carry my 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. So my answer would be 782. Now if I wanted to see if I was near where I should be, I could round my two factors together and then multiply those. So 23 would round to 20, and I'd be multiplying that by 34 would round to 30. So I'd multiply 20 times 30, and I would get 600. 600 isn't too far from 782. So my answer is reasonable. Now let's look at another problem. This time we're going to look at 43 times 67. Yet again, I'm going to break both numbers up into expanded form. 43 would be 40 plus 3, and I'm going to write that along the right side, or the left side of my box. 40 plus 3. Now across the top, I'm going to break my other number up into expanded form, and that's 67, so that's simply going to be 60 plus 7. Alright, now I have to see what comes together for each of these boxes. In this first box, this is where 60 and 40 meet. So I'm going to simply write 60 times 40. 6 times 4 is 24, and I need to put my 2 zeros at the end, so therefore I'd have 2,400. In my next box, I have 40 meeting with 7. Okay, so I can write 7 times 40. I know 7 times 4 is 28, and I have 1 0 to add to the end. So that would be 280. In the box below, 7 meets with the 3. So I can simply write 7 times 3, which equals 21. And then in our last box, I guess I can use green, I have 3 and 60 coming together. So I can write 60 times 3, which would equal 6 times 3 is 18. I add 1 0 to the end, so 180. Now, I have my partial products, but now I have to add the parts together to get the full product. So I'm going to add 2,400 plus 280 plus 180 plus 21. I'm using a stylus, so it's like my zeros are not looking that good right now. Okay, 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 would be 1. 0 plus 8 is 16, plus another 8 would be 18. I'll carry my 1. 1 plus 4 would be 5, plus 2 would be 7. 7 plus 1 would be 8. And then 2 plus nothing is simply 2. My answer would be 2,881. If I wanted to check for the reasonableness of my answer, I could find the estimate of my total. So I would round each factor. So 43 would round to 40, and I would multiply that by 67. Because of that 7, this would round up to 70. 40 times 70, well, that's like 4 times 7, which is 28, with 2 zeros at the end. So that would round, my estimate would be 2,800. And guess what? 2,881 is very close to that estimate. So I really feel that that answer is correct, or at least reasonable. Now I want to do 35 times 14. I want to multiply these two numbers. Now again, each time I do this, I am breaking my factors, the two numbers I'm multiplying, I'm breaking them up into expanded form, and I'm writing those on the sides of my boxes. So my 35 would simply be 30 plus 5. My 14 would simply be 10 plus 4. And then I'm ready to see where do the numbers meet so I can put those in the boxes. In my top left box, I have 30 and 10 coming together. So I'd write 30 times 10, that's like 3 times 1, which is 3, and I add 2 zeros to the end, so I'm left with 300. In my next box, I have 30 meeting with 4, so I would write 30 times 4. Well, 3 times 4 is 12, and then I'm going to add my 1 zero to the end, so I'd have 120. In my bottom left box, I have 5 meeting up with 10. So I simply write 5 times 10, which is 50. And then for my last box, I'll put that in green, I have 5 meeting with the 4. So 5 times 4 would equal 20. Now, in the last section, my right large box, I'm simply going to add my products together. So I would be adding 300 plus 120 plus 50 plus 20. So I have a bunch of zeros, add them up, they equal 0. Now I have 0 plus 2 plus 5, that's 7, plus another 2 is 9. And then I have 3 plus 1, which is 4. I can check the reasonableness of my answer by rounding 35 to 40 and multiplying 40 times 14 would be rounded to 10. So 14 times 10 would simply equal 400. My answer is close to 400, so my answer is reasonable. We are going to do one more problem like this. Our last problem is 28 times 60. And for this problem, I would simply use my expanded form. So 28 in expanded form would be 20 plus 8. 60 in expanded form would be 60 plus 0. Okay, I put a 0 there to represent that there is nothing in that box. There's no actual number in there. So if you can imagine, this whole column is going to be 0 because look, I have 20 times 0. That's going to equal 0. And then underneath it, I would have 0 times 8, which is also going to equal 0. Okay? I'm going to erase these lines for a second so they don't confuse us when I move to the next part. Okay, and in this box, I would have 20 times 60. And that's just like 2 times 6, which is 12, and then I add 2 zeros to the end. And then in our last box, I have 8 and 60. 8 times 6 is 48, and I have 1 zero to add to the end, so 480. So to find my actual product, I would add my partial products together. I'd have 1,200 plus 480 plus 0 plus 0. So I'm going to ignore those zeros for a second. And I have 0, I have 8, 6. So 1,680. So I just wanted to revisit this problem that we did a few minutes ago. We multiplied 35 times 14, and on the left side of the screen you see the way that we did it. You also may see some people say that this is partial products, where they have 35 times 14 stacked on top of each other, like we see on the right of the screen right now. And then what's going to go in the lines underneath that are going to be the partial products. So we're actually going to just take all the stuff that we did on the right side of our box and we can put it right over here. So I would say 300, 120, 50, 20, and then I would add just these parts up, just like I did on the right side of my last box. So 0 plus all those zeros is 0, 2 plus 5 is 7, plus another 2 would be 9, 3 plus 1 would be 4. So this is the same thing, you just might see that someone breaks it out this way. And what you also might see that they do is instead of writing 35 and 14 like that, they would write it as 30 plus 5, 10 plus 4. And they would allow you to see the first product was 30 times 10. The second product was 30 times 4. Then you had the 10 times 5. And then finally the 5 times 4. So that's where all of those numbers came from. I just wanted you to be exposed to it so that in case you do see it like that, you know what they're talking about. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure you completed your accountability sheet. I want to see the plus signs, okay? And make sure you have commas. Take care. And in the voice of one of my favorite explorers, we did it! We did it! Yay!